Hi guys. So sometimes I ask myself, what happened to Boris Johnson's oven-ready deal? Back before the election in December, Boris Johnson went around the country telling the people, the voters, I have a deal, it's an oven-ready deal, and it will allow me to get Brexit done. Of course, get Brexit done meant nothing. It was an empty slogan. And it worked, unfortunately. It convinced people that Boris Johnson would somehow get Brexit done. And he also talked about this oven-ready deal. Now, I had explained at the time, the Withdrawal Agreement is the oven-ready deal. But that's not how Boris Johnson spun it. Boris Johnson presented it in a different way. So I just want to refresh your memories about what Boris Johnson was talking about when he said the oven-ready deal. I promise you I'm not going to expose you to too much of Boris Johnson here, but just a small clip of this video from November 2019 about Boris Johnson's oven-ready deal in his own words.
Thank you all very much for having me along this fantastic company today. I'm afraid there's an election on, and I hope you don't mind me explaining what it's all about. I don't want this election. Nobody. I love being Prime Minister, and you don't necessarily want to have an election, particularly in the run-up to Christmas, but we've got to do it because Parliament is absolutely blocked and it is refusing to get Brexit done. That's the problem that we have. And I think there are many reasons why we need to get Brexit done. First of all, it's about democracy. The people of this country voted for Brexit 3.5 years ago, and it's about time that the politicians honoured their promise to the people of this country and delivered it. And secondly, the economy is being held back by our failure to get this thing over the line. People aren't making investments, they're not taking decisions. This country can take huge steps forward if only we can get Brexit done. And we can. We have a plan to do it, we have a deal, we Conservatives I should say, we have an agreement that is ready to go, it is oven ready. Whack it in, gas mark 4, I'm not a great cook, but you know what I mean, it's there, it's ready to go, take it out. After Christmas, it's done. We can leave on January the 31st. And then we can get on with all the other things that we want to do in this country. Investing in the NHS. We're putting in the biggest investment in the NHS in living memory. Investing in our police. 20,000 more police officers. Increasing funding for every primary and every secondary school in the country. Doing stuff like gigabit broadband, 5G, 6G, as well as helping people with the cost of living across the country. So lifting up the living wage by the biggest ever amount. All those things we want to get on and do, and we're currently being held back by this blockage in Parliament. So we need to get Brexit done to take the country forward. And I think one point I would make about us Conservatives is that we believe strongly in public services. We want to invest in this great country, but we also support fantastic businesses. And one of the things about this extraordinary company is it not only builds, well, stuff for nuclear, which I suppose we're probably not meant to talk about. But I don't think it's that much of a secret. But you also make incredible equipment that enables this country to generate almost 50% of its power now from renewable energy. It's an absolutely extraordinary thing, and it's being done by the private sector. So we need a government that understands and champions the private sector, that understands the importance of having a dynamic market economy. And that's what you will get with this Conservative government. A government...
Okay, so Boris goes on continues about the Conservatives. But so just to go back to what he was saying before about getting Brexit done and this oven-ready deal. I said at the beginning, the oven-ready deal was actually the Withdrawal Agreement, but Boris Johnson sold it as a finished deal. Now, isn't it ironic and weird and strange how, at the moment, David Frost, the chief negotiator for the UK, is talking about leaving the transition period without a deal. So Boris Johnson, less than a year ago, was saying, we have a deal. And now the UK this month, is talking about leaving the transition period without a deal. How did we go from we have a deal to no deal. And it's not like David Frost is acting on his own. The news seems to be, and let's take it from a reliable source, The Express. The Express is saying, the Express is a pro-Brexit, pro-Tory newspaper. Let's, be honest about it. It is. It's saying that Boris Johnson is now instructing David Frost, whether it's true or not, but let's say it is, for the sake of argument, he's instructing David Frost to leave the negotiations without a deal. Really, how did we move from we have a deal to leave without a deal? This is the problem with the Brexiteers like Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Nigel Farage, for example. They will tell you, we can do this, and then within less than a year, they will say, what I told you we could do is actually impossible. And they never are challenged on that. There isn't a journalist asking Boris Johnson today, what happened to your deal? How are you leaving the transition period without a deal? Now, of course, Boris Johnson, when he told people back in December and November that he had a deal, he was talking about the withdrawal agreement. But of course, he left out a very important point, was that when we leave, there is a transition period. And during that transition period, we will negotiate a deal. But he didn't sell it like that. He sold it as, we have this oven-ready deal that's ready to go. Stick it in the oven at gas mark 5 or whatever. The ridiculous rhetoric in order to convince the public that there's nothing to worry about. Don't worry about the technical details. I'll give you some stupid information that will, in a sense, which in a sense is quite insulting to the public. I think the public generally are intelligent enough to understand that these types of things are complicated. But the Conservatives and Dominic Cummings and Boris Johnson decided, we're going to treat the public as fools, treat them like fools, and say that we have this oven-ready deal. It's something simple. Brexit is something simple. It's not something complicated. Now they've been proven wrong because it's much more complicated than a simple oven-ready deal. So I would ask again, what happened to the oven-ready deal? How is it possible that you went from having a deal to now saying, well, we're going to leave without a deal? I would like Boris Johnson to answer that question. I would like a journalist to ask Boris Johnson, what happened to your oven-ready deal? What happened to the deal that you said we have ready to go? Now, if he turns around and says, no, well, I was talking about the withdrawal agreement, then he should be called out as a liar because he never mentioned the withdrawal agreement. He never mentioned the transition period that followed the withdrawal agreement, the signing of the withdrawal agreement. And just to go a step further, you have members of the Conservative Party who want to pick apart and ignore parts of the withdrawal agreement. So they're not even happy with Boris Johnson's oven-ready deal, if that was what the oven-ready deal was. Boris Johnson supported the withdrawal agreement in Parliament. He presented it to Parliament. Was that his oven? If that was his oven-ready deal, then members of his own party are not even happy with his oven-ready deal. But this oven-ready deal was just, of course, a smokescreen in an attempt to convince the public that Brexit was something simple. We just have to get it done and then move on. And unfortunately, a sizable amount of the British public were conned by it. That's all I really have to say on this, guys. But I do hope that journalists in the future will ask Boris Johnson, what happened to the oven-ready deal? Is it at the bottom of the fridge, growing mold at the moment? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?